Thank you. Sorry I missed you last session. The plane came in late today. So Spire is focused on emerging markets. We have an existing product that helps telecoms there. There's a sea change going on in emerging markets right now. There's about 1 billion old-style phones. You know, your old Nokia and flip phones from 10 years ago are still quite popular. And the markets we're talking about are Africa, Latin America, Southwest Asia, Southeast Asia, the islands below Southern Asia. In the next 5 years, we'll see 3 billion smartphones sold in these markets. Right now, you know, your iPhone 4 from a few years ago is selling in an Android equivalent for about $20 wholesale. And so that's now letting smartphones penetrate into these lower income countries at a very rapid pace. We saw this opportunity about 2 years ago and started building software to help carriers and smartphone manufacturers serving this market manage the transition. When you have these old style phones, very little goes wrong with it. If you can remember back in the day, you know, your Motorola Razr worked perfectly fine. You probably got a new one just because the style changed or got a little bit smaller or something like that, not because it broke. But your Android phone and your iPhone today, lots of problems, right? Like memory fills up because you took too many photos or videos, firmware updates fail, all kinds of nightmares. And in the emerging markets, they're seeing that now. And so they're selling this phone for $20, and then they get a $12 support call 3 days later when the memory fills up or when the firmware doesn't operate correctly. And it's causing a lot of problems for operators in these markets. So we built software that lets these companies manage those problems. So an app is pre-installed on the phone that's branded by the carrier or the smartphone manufacturer, and that app provides live chat back to the carrier or the manufacturer, which reduces all kinds of support calls, store visits, things like that. Collects remote diagnostics off the phone, has an app marketplace to introduce smartphone owners to the new apps that are relevant to them, which provides referral revenue back to the carrier that we split with them. In the last year or so, we started looking at new product features and talking to our partners in the space. And now we're going to launch a digital currency wallet. So we already have an app pre-installed on all these phones. We just flip a switch, and all those pre-installed apps all of a sudden have a digital currency wallet. Plus, all new phones shipped by our partners ship with our app pre-installed, and those will have a digital currency wallet. That wallet will support Bitcoin, and it'll support our coin Spire in the mix. This is just a mock-up. We haven't shipped yet. We'll ship the wallet when we do the ICO in March. So, like I said, we've been operating about 2 years. It took us a little while to build the software. So in the last year, we've closed about half a dozen partners. We're on over 1 million devices live right now. We have phones in 105 countries. That sounds pretty widespread, but in emerging markets, it's interesting. Some of these countries are pretty small, and we have pretty important communities of them. Samoa, pick a small island nation. We have over 5% of the phones in that country, which is a great base to build a blockchain community around. In Uruguay, we have about 4% of the phones. We have a half a dozen other countries that have multiple percentage points and another 10 or 12 that are all in the single digits in the space. You may ask about emerging markets and blockchain. We think it's going to move faster there. It already is, actually. More than 2% of Nigerians are holding Bitcoin right now. It's the largest population by percentage that owns Bitcoin. And you see it like that throughout emerging markets. They don't trust their currencies. They don't have access to good financial services. They don't have access to identity. These are all things that coins are going to solve in the future. If you think about wallet acquisition costs today, Coinbase gives me $10 and gives you $10 if I refer you, right? So they're spending $15, $20 to sign up a wallet. We're spending less than 20 cents to distribute an app, all of our costs all in. We think that's going to fall even more as we scale. So that's Spire. Pre-sale going on pretty much now. If you're a VC or other institutional investor, we're also doing an equity round that includes tokens in the mix. You have to be an institution to get that. And then the actual token sale will probably end up in March. Our advisors are Galaxy Capital and Kinetic out of Hong Kong, and working with a couple others along the way. Thanks so much for the time.